श्री चैतन्य चैतामृत की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
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 Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuronmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sarvana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nityanamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum nangayate girim Yat kripadam vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. You can increase the fan speed. I'm sweating. So welcome to Chaitanya Charitamrita class. That was a difficult tune that we sang. I feel very fortunate that when devotees are around, they keep me Krishna conscious. So one of the devotees was taking me on the bike, our Sudarshan Prabhu. He was loudly singing this bhajan. And I like that lines. Jivana marana tave puja nivedam. That be it during death or be it birth, I just want to worship you. Another nice line which I felt was Tomara virahe giridhari. My eyes are filled with tears thinking about you in separation. So it was feeling good. No feelings were there, but to hear it was good. It's very important that today evening when I was doing my third Gayatri, so I just won my Brahman thread and I was about to chant, and suddenly there was a thought that, oh, this is the third Gayatri of the day. Day is over. Yes. So I was just contemplating on this, that how days are just running. Just running. You just start your day and then it's evening, you go to sleep again, get up, Mangalarti, chant, office, Aboyal office. Yes, fortunately I don't have that. Go slog, come back, put out, get ready, prasad, do some sadhana, send the sadhana report, sleep. So I was wondering that even for brahmacharis also, the schedule is like that only. How the day passes, it's very difficult to understand also. Therefore, it's very important that we come together like this and remind ourselves that what is the goal of life? To reiterate again and again. Srila Prabhupada and his disciples knew when they just came, foreign disciples came to India. And at that time, life membership was the preaching. There's no other preaching. Book distribution and life membership. So they went to one life member's home, and they had made puri, sabji, and all that. And they were serving. So all disciples sitting, they were serving. So the disciples were full, and they were saying, enough. And they were still serving. Normally you have to put hand, no? Like, no, enough. They were not doing that. And then they ate, they were served, and they ate and ate and ate. And after they came back to the temple, now one of the disciples was holding the stomach and he was like, Prabhupada, my stomach is paining. And Prabhupada said, what will happen if you eat 25 puris like this? And the devotee was like, Prabhupada, how do you know? I was counting. Then another devotee was laughing. And Prabhupada looked at him and said, you shut your mouth, you ate 16. And Prabhupada made a nice statement. He said, see, we go to these people's house so that we trigger the Brahma Jigyasa in them to ask the questions about life. And we go to revive and reiterate the point about the goal of life. So what do we do in Bhagavatam classes? What do we do in these classes which we have? Only point is we revive and we try to reiterate the point that what is the goal of life. It's very natural, to deviate from the goal of life. Very natural. If someone is not deviating, then it's unnatural. If you're in the material world and not getting deviated means, you're Mahabhagavat. So naturally, we'll deviate from the goal, and again we need to revisit, reiterate, and tell ourselves, goal is this and nothing else. And time is passing, every single day, just time is passing. And always, this question should be there in the mind, is my personal meditation and contemplation, that how much I've got closer to Krishna. Today, or this week, how much I've got closer to Krishna. Very, very important. Therefore, when we come together like this and read about personalities like Sanatan Goswami and others, we actually remind ourselves that goal of life is this. I'm supposed to do this to get closer to Krishna, but what am I doing? And then we intensely pray to Krishna. Yes. So basically, it's a reminder to revisit the goal. This is what I would say. And time is really passing very fast. Very, very fast. The day will come, when we have to leave this body and we might not be ready for it. Not ready. Okay, so it's all about preparation. It's all about preparation. So we're just preparing ourselves for that final day, the judgment day. Who will come? Yamudutas will come or Vishnudutas will come. Ajamal jaisa the case nahi hoga. They are fighting and then take Mahajan, Mahatma and all that. For us, they will not tell that. Anyways. So let's get into this discussion on Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sanatan Goswami visiting Lord Chaitanya. So we have seen that how Sanatan Goswami had a plan to commit suicide, and then he comes to Jagannath Puri, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he tells that you cannot come, you cannot do this, because this body belongs to me. How can you destroy someone else's body? And then there's a discussion where Haridas Thakur is glorifying Sanatan Goswami. That you're so great, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is using your body for various services, important services. And then Sanatana Goswami is telling Haridas Thakur that you are so great that through you Lord is propagating the holy names. You're Namacharya. And then suddenly in between there is Jagadananda Pandit's mention where Jaga, he tells Sanatana Goswami that he should leave this place. And this was known by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he got to know, he became really angry. How that young boy Jaga can instruct you? And at that time, Sanatana Goswami, he makes a very strong point. He says, oh Lord, you are giving him nectar and you are giving me poison. So chastisement is considered as nectar by great devotees. And glorification is considered as poison. Today morning only I was contemplating on this topic of glorification. So if glorification is something that can take us back home back to Godhead, then we can accept. But ideally, the case will not be like this. When someone glorifies, we are actually making our roots strong in this material world. Because what happens? we become proud. We become proud that yes, I am something and I am the one who can exploit everything. So let me be here forever. So we are strong, roots become very strong in the material world when we become proud. Glorification is something which senior devotees, pure devotees, or exalted souls don't like. Even if they accept, they'll pass it on to the superiors. It doesn't belong to me, it belongs to you. Shri Shri Gandharvika Giridhari Srimad Mahaprabhu ki jai, Lakshmi Narasimhadev ki jai, Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Sundar ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So they pass on, they pass on the glorification to the Lord, through the parampara. So here, after that incident, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about that how when the devotees, when they do various Sanatana Goswami or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's telling Sanatana and Haridas that my situation is like the situation of a mother, and on the lap of the mother, when the child passes stool and urine, mother does not feel anything, she just cleans it. Yes. So you people are like those kids of mine, and your body is very, very dear to me. So this is what is speaking. And then Haridas Thakur is talking about how Lord is so affectionate and how he delivered Vasudev leper. We discussed about that. Now we'll continue. And also he spoke about Diksha, that how during Diksha the devotee, he fully surrenders onto the service of the Lord. So that's what devotee does on the day of Diksha. Yes, so we'll start from verse 194. Read.
The living entity, the living entity who is subjected to birth and death attains immortality when he gives up all material activities, dedicates his life to the execution of my order, and acts according to my directions. In this way, he becomes fit to enjoy the spiritual bliss derived from exchanging loving hellos with me.
Purport.
This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11 Canto, 29 chapter, 34th verse. At the time of initiation, a devotee gives up all his material conceptions. Therefore, being in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is situated on the transcendental platform. Thus, having attained knowledge and the spiritual platform, he always engages in the service of the spiritual body of Krishna. When one is freed from material connections in this way, his body immediately becomes spiritual, and Krishna accepts his service. However, Krishna does not accept anything from a person with a material conception of life. When a devotee no longer has any desire for material sense gratification in his spiritual identity, he engages in the service of the Lord, for his dormant spiritual consciousness awakens. This awakening of spiritual consciousness makes his body spiritual, and thus he becomes fit to render service to the Lord. Karmis may consider the body of a devotee material, but factually it is not. For a devotee has no conception of material enjoyment. If one thinks that the body of a pure devotee is material, he is an offender, for that is Vaishnava. In this connection, one should consult Sri Sanatana Goswami Brihad Bhagavatamrita.
So here, this the point that is made about how a devotee dedicates his life to the execution of Lord's order, and he works according to the direction of the Lord. So it's a very important point for us as sadhakas to meditate on, that in my day-to-day life, what am I doing? Am I following the orders of the Lord? Am I following the directions of the Lord or not? Today I was reading this first canto, 17th chapter. So there one point is made about surrender. So who can actually surrender? No, this point is made there. So who can actually surrender? The one who follows dharma. So dharma has 4 legs. That is tapa shaucham, daya satyam. Tapa austerity, and then tapa shaucham is cleanliness. Tapa shaucham, daya mercy, and satyam truthfulness. So these are the 4. And Prabhupada writes there that anyone who follows this, that person becomes eligible to surrender to Lord Krishna. This is what is the point that is made. I was wondering that it's so important. Well, these four principles Prabhupada has given us in the negative connotation of no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. So I was just wondering that how Prabhupada has made it so easy for us that you just follow these four regulative principles which are there and you're following Dharma. And when you're following Dharma, then surrendering unto the Lord becomes easy. That's what Prabhupada is writing. Therefore, a devotee should try his best. Even Kadam Kanan Maharaj in his final videos, which he recorded before leaving his body, he's mentioning this point that one should follow strictly the four relative principles. No meat eating. So when it comes to us as devotees, there's no question of meat eating. Hardly I have seen that any devotee who comes to 16 rounds for a good number of months and years, that when he goes away from the devotee association, takes meat. ऐसा तो मैंने कहीं सुना नहीं है, very rare. It has to be very extraordinary aparadhi. Then maybe it is possible. Otherwise, it's very rare. So when it comes to no meat eating, it also, the positive connotation, it also says only prasad. There's no question of putting anything in the mouth which is not prasad. Yes. So no meat eating. So no onion garlic, no tea coffee, or tea coffee will come in intoxication. Yes. No mushrooms, and only prasad. That's the point. Only Krishna prasad. There was one devotee in one of the congregations was sharing that some other devotee is offering meat to Jagannath. Yes, offering. So anything that you offer with love, Krishna accepts. But Krishna is very clear what he accepts also. Yes, Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam. Only four categories he has given. Now if you offer whatever you want because you want to eat, that cannot be called as Krishna prasad. So this is a very important thing. And also another thing is, what is prasad? The definition has to be clear. Cooked by a devotee, offered by a devotee, served by a devotee. That is prasad. Yes. Cooked by a devotee, offered by a devotee, served by a devotee. This is prasad. So when we had this crunch of cooks, it was so difficult to find devotee cooks. Almost 50-60 calls I might have made to get cooks. And then after that we had some option that some non-devotee was there. So he gave some number. Then we called him. And then we asked, I was thinking let's preach and make them devotee and then put them in kitchen. Option नहीं है कुछ तो क्या करें? And we called him and then we spoke to that person. He said, ये vegetarian तो है ना? He said, हाँ आपके यहाँ आके हो जाएंगे. आपके यहाँ आके हो जाएंगे. So it's very important to understand that it's not just no onion garlic. It's not just vegetarian. It's prasad. And the definition of prasad is this: cooked by a devotee, offered by a devotee, served by a devotee. Therefore, here at least in this place, I always keep telling brahmachari should offer bhoga. Only in rare cases when we are busy, we ask other devotees to offer. But I always say, you offer, very important. And then service to anyways, whichever devotee is serving, or we only serve ourselves, so that's all okay. So this is the first thing, no meat eating. And then when it comes to no intoxication, so I don't think no one does here, no? Yes. There's no question of intoxication. Devotees struggle for giving up tea, coffee, but with time they give up that. It doesn't. At least I used to drink 6 times a day. So when I was giving up, it was difficult, and then just give it up. Yes, not that difficult also. And no illicit sex. So on all the levels, this is something that's very difficult to give up. First two is still okay, but illicit sex comes in subtle also, and the gross also. It becomes very difficult. As Prabhupada writes, thinking, planning, all that, and action, all that comes into illicit sex. Yes. So this is something which devotees struggle with. But then sincere devotees struggle nicely and keep struggling, and one day they will become purified. Therefore, one has to struggle to follow the 4 relative principles. If Prabhupada has told that we have to follow, means we have to follow. There's no question of not following. This is something which should be there in the head. Now, once one devotee was saying that, I think one of the base devotee, I said, how many rounds you're chanting? He said 8. I said, why not increasing? No, I'm satisfied with 8. I don't feel like chanting more because I'm fully satisfied with him. I said, forget about you being satisfied. Think about what Acharya has told. Yes, we are not chanting because we want to get satisfied or something. We are chanting 16 rounds because our Acharya has told chant 16 rounds. So the funda has to be clear. Why I am doing and what I'm doing and why I'm doing. The reason has to be clear. So when the reason is clear, then we can do it properly, without giving some stupid reasons. And the devotee was expressing so wonderfully, we were walking on the road, he's like, I'm fully satisfied, Prabhuji. You know. And since we were walking on the road, I thought I should maintain my calmness. I should allow him to be satisfied till we enter this place. And then no gambling. So no gambling. Obviously, devotees don't get into betting and all those things. But then still, various other investments that we do, which keeps us in anxiety, that also comes in gambling. So one should be clear, where all we do investment. If we do, then I'll forget about it then. Yes, and just forget about that investment later. When it comes, it comes. But if someone is thinking so much, bitcoins and this and that, whatever, every now and then, buddy, come on here, come on here. Just keep doing that. What will happen? You're supposed to focus on Krishna, not Bitcoin, or not shares or whatever. Sometimes devotees say, Prabhuji, मैंने तो खरीदा नहीं तो ऑफिस ने दे दिया शेयर. हाँ तो देखने तो ऑफिस ने नहीं बोला ना, बार बार देखते रहो खोल के कितना प्राइस है क्या है करके. Yes. So we see that somehow why this thing is told, because in anxiety we cannot practice bhakti. Please understand this point. So anxiety we cannot practice bhakti. Therefore one has to be cool. And therefore Prabhupada made this point very clearly. One has to follow 4 relative principles strictly. And how many other times we tell ourselves these things, still there will be some mistakes that we will commit. So again and again, we revise and we revise and revise and come to this understanding that how all the 4 relative principles I can follow properly and strictly. So when someone follows these 4 relative principles, Prabhupada is saying that he is following dharma, and if he is following dharma, surrendering onto Krishna's lotus feet becomes easy. See, finally we are supposed to do that. We are expected to do that. Surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. If that is not happening, then what is the use of this human form of life? No use. Therefore, here it is said that such a devotee who is surrendered and who is engaged in service of the Lord all the time, executing the Lord's orders, following the Lord's instructions, such a devotee, what happens is his body becomes spiritual. Today and yesterday in Brahmachari class, I was speaking about this point. Every day evening we have at 5 o'clock. You're not allowed, don't come. Only residents, Brahmachari residents are allowed. So we were having that discussion, and in that I was making this point that how whatever activities we do, so that actually has a lot of effect on the subtle body. So our subtle body is disfigured as of now because of our sense gratificatory desires and impressions. So what we are supposed to do is remake the subtle body by intense practice of devotional service. So till the point of subtle body is not properly, this remake doesn't happen properly. I mean, it is not in sync with the service of the Lord all the time. We cannot expect to go back to Godhead. That's for sure. So what are we trying to do throughout our life, as sadhakas? Every single day we are trying to remake our subtle body. We're trying to give bhakti samskaras to the subtle body. We're trying to remake the entire subtle body. And when the subtle body is remade, then what happens? Then our kaya, vacha, manasa, everything is engaged in service of the Lord. See, with time, I have heard from devotees that our kaya is engaged. Our vacha might also be engaged. Body and speech might be engaged, but manasa, they're going around. So when the subtle body is restructured, so what happens? Mind will be there with the person. He'll be able to focus whatever he's doing. Is initially Agyat Sukruti works. But how long will depend on Agyat Sukruti only. Agyat Sukruti brings us to ISKCON. And after that, Gyat Sukruti is very important, where you consciously increase your Sukruti by proper Krishna conscious activities. So it's a very, very important thing, to note. Therefore, here this point that is made is that when one is freed from material connections in this way, his body immediately becomes spiritual and Krishna accepts his service. So a question ऐसा आता है कि so now Krishna is not accepting our service? Yes. So Krishna is accepting, but then that satisfaction we cannot give to Krishna as of now in this level, whatever we are in. So when we are fully purified and then when we serve the Lord, then that service gives pleasure to Krishna. Yes, that service will give pleasure to Krishna. That's what is there. And however, Krishna does not accept anything from a person with a material conception of life. Congratulations. Look at this heavy statement that Prabhupada has written. Krishna does not accept anything from a person with a material conception of life. How many of us are freed from material conception of life? ऐसा देख रहे एक दूसरे कोई हाथ नहीं उठाने वाले मत देखो. See, at least if you're not free, there should be an intense desire to become free. Because in spiritual life, one very important thing that we need to note is if you're endeavoring towards certain thing, Krishna accepts that particular thing as a service. So you have to endeavor towards this to become free from the material conception of difficult, ekdam difficult. But still, when the devotee is endeavoring towards that, he's trying his best, to go towards that. So at that time Krishna is very pleased. And if Krishna is pleased, then what is difficult for a devotee to attain? He'll become free immediately from the material conception of life. Right? And then the point that is made is when a devotee no longer has any desire for material sense gratification, in his spiritual identity, he engages in the service of the Lord, for his dormant spiritual consciousness awakens. Such deep statements. So when a devotee no longer has any material desire, sense gratificatory desire. So what does that mean? See, as of now, our spiritual identity is covered with what? It's covered with this contamination, right? And what is that contamination all about? The contamination is this desire for material sense gratification. So when a devotee becomes free from that, and he just wants to serve Krishna, so what happens? He comes to his original constitutional position. Jivara Swarup Hoy Krishna re Nityadas, he realizes that. See, we might speak about it that I'm servant of Krishna, but no, we are not yet realized that point. Theoretically, some of us might be convinced. But realization point of view, no, very difficult. So when we realize that, then when we render service, then it is called as the person awakens his dormant spiritual consciousness. We can also say the person is Krishna conscious at that time. This awakening of spiritual consciousness makes his body spiritual, and thus he becomes fit to render service to the Lord. So when he's saying thus he becomes fit to render service to the Lord, in the Nitya Lila he can enter one spiritual world and he can render service to the Lord. He's fit now to enter spiritual world. Very, very important. Therefore, the analysis that we need to do for our own self, or self-introspection that we need to do for our own self is, am I moving closer anywhere to this, what Prabhupada is describing? Very, very important. Am I moving anywhere closer to this? Am I at least desiring that I want to get free from the sense gratificatory desires or not? Itna to no question should come and the answer should be yes. If you are a sincere devotee moving towards Krishna, then the answer should come as yes, I'm trying to become free from sense gratificatory desire. We should explicitly go and pray in front of the Lord that I don't want to do any sort of sense gratification. I don't want to think of any sort of sense gratification. So two things I said. I don't want to do any sort of sense gratification and I don't want to think of any sort of sense gratification. Explicit prayer in front of the Lord. And Lord will say, Beta, what do you want then? Oh Lord, I just want to serve you every moment. That's it. I don't want to do anything. I just want to serve you every moment. So you can have a dialogue with the Lord. When you are praying this, then you can think, oh, Krishna is asking, so what do you want? And then you say this. Yes, then you can say this. And this is what is the mode of our entire parampara. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari, kavitam va jagadisha kamai, mama janmani janmani ishware, bhavatat bhaktir ahituki tvai. Vidwan Gaurang Prabhu was saying that in the initial days he would just chant the first three shlokas. Fourth one he will not chant, Shikshastakam. He said, I cannot do, why should I chant? But now people don't have option, we've been chanting, so continue. Yes, and I pray that Krishna fulfills your desire. Yes. One devotee was really in so much of anxiety, he came and he said, Prabhuji, today I got to the meaning of it. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari. Prabhuji, I'm a grahastha aspirant. Na sundari, I'll get an ugly girl. And na dhanam, how will I sustain my family? Na dhanam. So, important thing we need to understand here is this is the mood of our parampara. And we're trying to imbibe that mood. That is very, very important to understand. Yes. We might willingly pray or unwillingly pray. Anyways, in the morning we're in hallucination. Some autopilot mode, something chapad we do. and Jai at the end. Sri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki Jai. Yes. So, anyways, coming to the point. So, the point that I'm trying to make here is at least we should come to this prayer. Forget about actually happening. At least we should come to the prayer. And then the desire should become intense towards this, that I want to serve the Lord only. And then rest of things will manifest, whatever is mentioned in the purport. At least first step, that is prayer. First step to hona chahiye. Where you go in front of the Lord, or when you're sleeping before and at night, or when you get up early in the morning, or wherever you go to any dham or whatever, you offer this prayer. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If one thinks that the body of a pure devotee is material, he is an offender. Now, when we understand this concept, then we understand why that is called as an offense. Because a devotee has come to a level where he is not desiring for sense gratification. And that devotee's body, if we call material, then actually it's an offense because he has done something which is impossible. Mission impossible is completed. And then you're talking about or talking ill about him. Calling him anyways, his body is material. Body will be material when you have material sense gratificated desires. When he's free from that, body is spiritual. Therefore, it is called as an offense, that is there. So we'll continue. Text 195.
Krishna somehow or other manifested these teaching source on the body of Sanatan Goswami and sent him here to test me.
If I had hated Sanatan Goswami and had not embraced him, I would certainly have been chastised for offenses to Krishna.
Who is saying all this?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying all this.
Sanatan Goswami is one of the associates of Krishna. There could not be any bad odor from his body. On the first day I embraced him, I smelled the aroma of
Chatush.
a mixture of sandalwood pulp, camphor, akru, and musk. In fact, however, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu...
Just a minute. This also, this is a very important point. When the devotee is free from sense gratificated desires, and when he attains the spiritual, when his body becomes spiritual, subtle body, and the gross body as well, when it becomes spiritualized. So it is described that the body doesn't smell. Many examples have been there even in ISKCON. Yes. So it is described when Srila Prabhupada left his body. Even before that, so for a good amount of time, I think Bhakti Charu Maharaj shares in his memories that Prabhupada was not allowed to take bath because of his problems, whatever was there. But then Maharaj was sharing that how whenever he would go to serve Srila Prabhupada, he would be just getting smell or fragrance of various different categories. Aroma in the entire place around Srila Prabhupada. Can you imagine? Yes. And we have heard this from other sannyasis also who left their bodies. So the bodies, had fragrance. So this is the greatness. See, in ISKCON, what Srila Prabhupada has done, we cannot imagine. Srila Prabhupada created these pure devotees to show. These are not just in the pages of Shastra, it is there live. Open your eyes and open your nose and smell. Yes. Prabhupada has literally shown us through all these pure devotees like that. And it is described that how when the pure devotees leave their body looks young. Even for Kadam Kanan Maharaj that had come, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, the message had come. But how they were looking like young. Yes. And how their bodies were fragrant. Tulsi aromas were there. This is what is the description that comes. So it's a very important thing to note that a pure devotee's body, will not smell. That's what is the point. So fragrance will be there. No, that is the point. That is there. Okay? But then when you embrace some other devotee and if he is stinking, so still consider him a pure devotee. Yes. Next. In fact,
however, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced the body of Sanatan Goswami, by the Lord's touch alone there was manifested a fragrance exactly like that sandalwood pulp.
so who is saying this? Who is saying this shloka? Yes, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying this. So he's saying that how Lord embraced, so that sandalwood, the sandalwood fragrance of his body is there now in the body of Sanatana Goswami. So where's that point? Lord's, where does sandalwood get the fragrance from? This was a question that is asked in one of the texts. Acharyas are describing it, discussing. So where did this sandalwood get the fragrance from? And it's described that when the paste was applied to the lotus feet of the Lord, so from the Lord's lotus feet, that fragrance went to the paste, and from the paste to the ancestors, that is all the trees, sandalwood trees. So it is described that from the Lord's body, the fragrance goes to sandalwood and not the other way around. Yes. Yes, continue.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, My dear Sanatan, do not be aggrieved, for when I embrace you, I actually get great pleasure.
Stay with me.
Stay with me at Jagannath Puri for 1 year, and after that I shall send you to Vrindavan.
After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again embraced Sanatan Goswami. Thus immediately Sanatan's source disappeared and his entire body resembled the color of gold.
Very bold.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Seeing the change. Haridas Thakur.
Seeing the change, Haridas Thakur grandly acknowledged told the Lord, this is your master.
So my question is, Lord could have done this from the first go only, no? When he first time embraced, all the sores on the body of Sanatan Goswami could have disappeared. What was Lord waiting for? Yes, any speculations? Apart from that, what can we do? Speculation only. Yes? Huh? What is that? Sanatan Goswami's mood has to be revealed to the world. Okay. What are the other things? You wanted to see his? Reaction. Yes. Yes. Yes, that has been brought out here. What else? Only so that we all can sit here and Tuesday evenings learn something. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he made the source to disappear after some time. Yes. So many points that we have learned, that how a devotee behaves. That's a very important thing. How a devotee responds to the critical situation of life. Even in that situation, Sanatana Goswami was hankering to serve, not to get rid of the problem. This point is very important to note. A devotee does not invest time in solving the problem or getting rid of the suffering. Even in that situation, a devotee hankers, now in this situation, how can I serve better and better and better? That is the mood of a devotee. So most of the time, Maya, she tricks us very nicely. You solve this problem and then your life will be amazing. Then all the 16 rounds will be attentive. So immediately you should laugh at that time. It's not possible. Because one problem goes and the next problem is there, and the next, and the next. Never is going to happen that problems will be zero. So it's very important that in any situation, a devotee's focus should be only this. In this situation, how can I serve the Lord? In this critical situation, how can I get closer to the Lord? And things like that. Instead of getting engrossed completely in solving that particular problem. And telling Krishna, you can wait for some time, let me finish off problem solving and then I'll attend to you. This doesn't work in Krishna consciousness. Why? Because throughout life, some or the other issue will be there. And our life is not meant for solving problems, our life is meant to serve Krishna. This has to be very clear for a devotee. Because our job description is to serve Krishna. And Krishna's job description is to maintain us. Eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman, that is Krishna's job description, not our job description. So he will do whatever is necessary. And Sanatana Goswami, did you see anywhere in the text where Sanatana Goswami is going and begging and praying to the Lord I know who are you. Yuga Avatar, golden form, Sachinandan, you're Krishna himself. Why can't you please remove all this that is there on my body? Sanatana Goswami knew, right? Who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Why he never went to pray? He was least bothered because that thought was not there. This thought was not there. I'm remembering this Jayanand Prabhu's example. One devotee came to Jayanand Prabhu, and then he was asking that how do you understand that you're advancing in bhakti? And Jayanand Prabhu said, I don't have time for all this. There's so much of service there. To analyze am I advancing or not. There's so much of service pending. I have to go and do those services. See, this is the mode of a devotee. A devotee doesn't bother. I remember, some issue was there which I was going through. And at that time, when I told Harishya Prabhu, this is the thing that is there. So Prabhu said, forget about all this. Just think about how to serve Krishna. And at that time, I was very new and I was not having this favorable thoughts about bhakti. It was so difficult for me to digest. I was thinking, I've come to you with a problem. Instead of giving solution, you're saying just forget about it. Then later I told Prabhuji, this is what I was thinking. But the fact is that because we cannot solve that problem which is very intrinsic to our system. Sometimes the samskaras are so strong and it is so intrinsic. Better than focusing on those problems, better focus on how to serve Krishna. If someone can do that, that devotee will advance. See, finally, the solution is one has to advance in bhakti. Automatically, kutam, bijam, papam, prarabdha, everything will get burnt. So instead of focusing on that, if you start focusing on problems here, then anyways you're not doing anything great. Another problem will get stuck only. Therefore, we see Sanatan Goswami never even once he went to pray. Because there was no space maybe in the mind for him to think, though I have some problem, I should go and pray to the Lord. No. His only thought was, with this body, how can I serve the Lord? This body has become so useless. How can I serve the Lord with this body? Yes. Such a wonderful pastime this is. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also very smart. He didn't solve the problem at one go. He's waiting to see the mood of Sanatan Goswami. That pastime you remember where we discussed. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called for Sanatan Goswami, already full body is full of sores, pus and all that. And this person takes the long route to go from the beach. And his entire body the soul is burnt. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking, which route did you take? That route I took. Oh, but the sand will be very hot. It's a sunny day. Oh, I didn't realize. Even in that situation, you see, full bodies with sores. Maybe his soul was free with sores. Maybe that also he got. And in that situation, Sanatan Goswami is intense to meet Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's the mood. That's the mood of a devotee. And now, finally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing the miracle. I am Supreme Personality of Godhead. I can do anything. And he embraces, and then, here, immediately Sanatan's sores disappeared and his entire body resembled the color of gold. This is also another very important thing in the material world, which we have to remember, that nothing in this world is permanent, including our sense gratificatory desires which are there, the problems that we are facing, anything that might be. Nothing in this world is permanent. So we should be carefree and just render devotional service. This thought helps so much, helps so much. Be it a health issue, it's not going to remain for long. But when it comes, some major health issue, gone. The devotee is fully engrossed in that particular thing. Yes. Or it might be some issue, some desire, something, whatever. Of a few days it might be there. It will go after some time. But another new desire will come. That is for sure. So one thing we have to understand that it is temporary. So just stay calm and continue practicing devotional service. This is what we need to tell ourselves in every single critical situation. Whichever crisis I am in, I have to just tolerate and I have to render devotional service. Rest Krishna will do, if he is interested to do. But if he wants something to be achieved through us, he will not do. He'll just keep it the way it is. I remember when I got the throat issue, for 4 months I was not able to speak. And then devotees are asking, Prabhuji, you are speaking about Krishna only? So many classes you're just giving out Krishna only. Why Krishna did this to you? You ask him only, how will I know? Yes. So what Krishna is planning for each one of us, only he knows. Therefore, Prabhupada says that the one who is becoming eligible to become the eternal associate of the Lord becomes malleable to the plan of Lord Sri Krishna. He is okay. Whatever happens is okay. That's the mood of a devotee. He's ready to be flexible, and you bend me the way you want, whatever you want to do, whatever, I'm okay. That person is eligible to come back to Godhead. That's why we see that all the great stalwarts in ISKCON, who are there at the top, who are giving us shelter, whatever problems they go through, you will not see them miserable. They will be smiling, happy, yes, blissfully executing devotional service. They are setting an example for all of us. They're telling us it's not just in the pages of Chaitanya Chaitamrit. We are present here live. Look at us. We are also executing devotional service like this. And they will never pray that, oh Lord, please cure me. Never. I remember, I normally don't speak about my spiritual master, but I'm just remembering this. So Srila Guru Maharaj, when he got this brain hemorrhage, so at that time he was there at Vrindavan temple and near Krishna Balram deities, Radha Shamsar deities, and he was crying. And one devotee came there and very foolishly he asked, Maharaj, you're crying because your body has become like this? And he said, no, I'm thinking, how will I execute Srila Prabhupada's instructions now in this body? So that was really giving goosebumps to me when I heard for the first time that how these devotees, even in that situation, and no prayer is that please cure me. You ask any Prabhupada disciple, are they praying that please cure me? No. They are like, just give me energy in this body to render service. That's how it is. So here we understand that how great these personalities are. Sometimes I feel that these personalities have come out from the pages of these various scriptures to set an example for all of us. Array, poor fellows, just focus on devotional service. Why you're focusing so much on the issues, those are coming in your life. Yes. And next statement is also very nice. Read 203.
My dear Lord, you made Sanatan Goswami drink the water of Jariganda, and you actually generated the consequent itching sores on his body.
Who says that devotees don't put blame on the Lord? See? You did it. Yes. Why so much of time? Read, no?
After thus causing these itching sores, you examine Santan Goswami. No one can understand your transcendental pastimes.
After embracing both Haridas Thakur and Sanatan Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence. Then Haridas Thakur and Sanatan Goswami, in great ecstatic love, began to describe the Lord's transcendental attributes.
So Lord did the miracle and he just left. He was not there. Okay, now you see what I have done. I'm so great. And therefore it is described, great people don't speak much. Yes, people are very small, they speak much about themselves. Great people will keep their mouth shut and keep walking here and there. The greatness is always concealed. Yes. And people who don't have anything, who are hollow within, they try to show that I've got so much. It's a very, very important thing, here to note. And another very important thing is, so when the Lord is present in front, the devotees are listening to the Lord. And when the Lord disappears from the sight, what are the devotees doing? They're describing the glories of the Lord. So this is what devotees do. Either hear the Lord, follow the instructions of the Lord, or discuss the glories of the Lord. Today afternoon I posted one snippet from excerpts from Srila Prabhupada's purport. So Prabhupada is making a very strong point about devotees glorifying the Lord. Srila Prabhupada is saying that cleanliness is necessary both for the mind and for the body. Simply bodily cleanliness may help to some extent, but cleanliness of the mind is necessary, and it is effected by glorifying the Supreme Lord. No one can cleanse the accumulated mental dust without glorifying the Supreme Lord. So this is the key that is given in the Shastra, and the devotee is setting an example for all of us that what a devotee does in the purified state, that is glorifying and describing the glories of the Lord, same thing we have to do now in this Buddha state, so that we cleanse our heart properly. So wherever you get chance, we should glorify. At times it is described, even if there is no one, no problem, glorify. At least you will remember the glories of the Lord. When you're taking bath or something, glorify. Think about some pastime or think about some shloka, chant that shloka. Remember the glories of the Lord. So these are the different things which a devotee should actively, consciously do every single day. Because I was just thinking about myself, so much of time is getting wasted, every day. Some of the other time will get wasted. Some thought will come and then 5 minutes gone in that. So it's very important that every minute, should be utilized in all these different thought process. Therefore, we should have different options. Some Vaishnava bhajan should be memorized, some shloka should be memorized, or some Prabhupada's purport, the lines should be memorized, some punch lines. Some pastime, we should know. So whenever we get time, immediately we switch to that particular thing. Consciously, because we cannot do it subconsciously. As of now, we are not there at that level. Yes, subconsciously, you all know better. Yes, what we think and what we do. Therefore, consciously, it has to be done consciously. So, next section is starting from here. I'll just read this 206. In this way, Sanatan Goswami stayed under the care of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and discussed the transcendental qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Haridas Thakur. Bodhayanta parasparam. That's what happens between two pure devotees. So we'll see the next. Next is Rath Yatra will start. So next Tuesday we'll see that. Any questions anyone wants to ask?
This point that when you mentioned about the pastime of the life of Jayanand Prabhu. So you mentioned like you were just focusing on service and service and service. So that's a point that's a it's true, but like if we are constantly engaged in service and don't contemplate whether I'm progressing or not and whether I'm advancing or not, and you also mentioned that we should contemplate that am I advancing? So these contemplations have to be made. So like how to understand this?
No, so therefore I spoke Jayanand Prabhu, not our situation. So we have to contemplate. He is a pure soul. He had nothing in life. Even when he got cancer, whatever money came from the house, from his home, he gave it to Srila Prabhupada. Please print books. I think that money was used to print Krishna books, if I'm not wrong. Different level that person is. Cancer, the person has got cancer and he's saying, what is the use of this body? Take the money. And then he is giving it to Srila Prabhupada. So different level of personalities. The point that I wanted to make there was that how devotees are very eager to continue the service to Krishna than bothering about anything about themselves. Even see when we think about am I advancing or not, even that is also thought about ourselves only. Yes. But at our level that we should have. We shouldn't become extra selfless, and extra advanced in a very premature state. Thinking, no, I shouldn't think about myself. Then we'll think about someone else. We'll contemplate about sex, we'll contemplate about some sense gratification. So better we contemplate on the philosophical subject matter and contemplate on am I advancing or not? What is that block in my life? And then pray to the Lord. And then pray to the Lord. Because see, continuously doing service is not an ordinary thing. Someone should get that taste for doing service. We might do it. अभी देखिए जन्माष्टमी पता चलेगा आप लोग को. एक दिन पहले सोएंगे नहीं. Next day भी सोएंगे नहीं. And after that also you have to fast. And the Ekadashi that comes after that is so frustrating, I tell you. So Ashtami, you're fasting. Navami, you're fasting. Dashami, one day you eat. Again, Ekadashi is there after that. So after some time, devotees are like, Prabhuji, break mangta hai. That's why Saturday, Sunday is off. I've told everywhere, wherever I preach, all the places, Saturday, Sunday, no program will happen. That's what I've told people. So because we don't have the taste. We don't have the taste. So where is the question of continuously doing service? No. So we need to have all this contemplation and we should pray to the Lord that I'm stuck here, please help me. A specific prayer should be made always. I'm stuck here, please help me. We all should analyze that where am I stuck? Itna analysis to karne aana chahiye. Where am I stuck? Because this only you can do. Where am I stuck? And then we should offer a prayer to the Lord saying, I'm stuck here. Please help me to get rid of this particular thing. Please help me to move forward from this to the next stage, whatever is there, like that. So at our level, we should analyze. We should analyze, contemplate. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we contemplate or serve to whomever we have something experience of. Suppose we are contemplating even of material things, and we have some experience of that. But in spite of that, we are not focusing towards Krishna because we don't get some experience what we are told like we came from spiritual world like of things, and we have some experience of association of Krishna. And if we get the glimpse of that by bhakti, or why we are not getting, so that we can contemplate on that and render our services.
That is a very high level of expectation. Yes, glimpse of spiritual world. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila, Dham. That's the last stage, to get a glimpse of. But yes, one thing is there that we might not be seeing Krishna, or we might not be tasting what Rupa Goswami talks about. Tunde Tandavini Ratim Vitanote. Just by chanting these two syllable Krishna, so much of nectar in this. That I desire, I feel like having thousands of ears and thousands of tongue. ऐसा तो कुछ होता नहीं है. Yes. 16 माला खत्म हो जाए बीड़ में somehow Sakshi Mala should come down phat. Yes. So we are not at that level as of now. Yes. So, but one thing that we can see is if we are sincere devotees, we will see how anarthas will go on reducing in us. That is a proof. That's a Krishna anubhuti that we have got. Yes. That's the experience of Krishna as of now at our level. Because there is no process in the entire world which can do this miracle that Krishna does in Krishna consciousness. Yes. There's no other process. You see any spiritual organization, any process, any yoga system, this only happens in bhakti. A very sinful person also becomes a human being, and then he hankers to become a devotee. Yes, sir, bhakti mein hota hai. So who is doing all this? Krishna is doing. That's Krishna anubhuti. I was so fallen, and now I've come to this point where I'm getting desire to think also that, I want to serve Krishna, Janmashtami is coming, I should do something for Krishna, or I want to come back to Godhead. Ye to mere desires hai nahi. Where is it coming from? Yes, Krishna's mercy. That our heart is getting cleansed, and slowly and steadily, and by the mercy of devotees, these desires we are also getting. Right? So this is actually Krishna anubhuti. We should expect, that I'll be sitting and chanting one day in the dark, and I'll open my eyes and suddenly there's huge light, Brahman, and then I wait for Paramatma, and then I wait for Bhagwan also. Yes, I'll sit and chant in dark and sleep. That's what will happen now. Yes, we cannot expect Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagwan appearing in front of us. So at our level, this is what is the analysis that we should do. Sometimes what happens, devotees become so ungrateful that nothing is happening in my life. How is it possible? How can you say nothing is happening in your life? If you are continuing every day to chant 16 rounds, do you think it is ordinary? Do you think remaining away from sex life, being in ACS layout is ordinary? Yes. It's not ordinary, it's extraordinary. It's something great. If someone is able to practice chanting every single day and is taking only prasad every single day, that's a sheer blessing of Krishna. It's very, very extraordinary. So when someone realizes that every day I'm getting this opportunity to practice bhakti, every day I'm able to do it. For sure, I cannot do it by myself. It's only by Krishna's mercy. Then the gratitude comes in the heart. Then we offer gratitude to Krishna. Yes. Only a very ungrateful devotee, would say that, पता नहीं प्रभु जी कुछ नहीं हो रहा है लाइफ में कर रहा तो मैं चैंट देखिए मैं चैंटिंग कर रहा हूँ हर दिन कर रहा हूँ अरे बाबा वही तो है रेसिप्रोकेशन you chanting every day, that itself is a reciprocation from the Lord. That itself is reciprocation, because if He doesn't give us determination, then where is the question of chanting 16 rounds? One day I was asking one devotee that how many rounds you're chanting? Prabhuji, half round. Prabhuji, बहुत मेहनत लगता है half round करने में. आपको पता नहीं है शायद. See, when you preach, you understand that how much people struggle to chant. And once I met another person and I said, how many times you chant? He said 3 times. I said 3 rounds, no, 3 times. 3 times Maha Mantra. And he was happy that he is doing something very big, in his life. Someone is able to do 16 rounds every day and be in the association of devotees, do some seva, take only prasad, attend aartis. Oh, that's very, very big thing. This cannot happen without reciprocation of Krishna. So we are already getting Krishna anubhuti. Only thing is we have to open our eyes, internal eyes, and see how much Krishna is doing. And then we'll be able to appreciate Krishna's reciprocation for whatever chindi devotional service we are doing. Yes. What are we doing? Chindi only, no. So to that also Krishna is reciprocating so much. Understand? When you realize this, then you will have enthusiasm. Yes, I want to do more, I want to chant more, I want to preach more. All right. Let's go on.
Guruji, in the story of that Gopakumar, when Gopakumar meets Krishna, so Krishna called him by his other name, which he has experienced earlier when he was in spiritual world. So, like that, I was inquiring that we are also having some experience of pastimes with Krishna like that.
No, but now we are busy doing time pass, no? So Krishna cannot give us, we cannot remember that. We are so busy planning our time pass every single day. So where is the question of getting that remembrance? Therefore, when we become purified with time, all these remembrance might come. So purification होना चाहिए ना सबसे पहले तो purification ही नहीं हो रहा इतना कचरा भरा हुआ है no, तो where from we will get desires, you know? So firstly we have to realize that I am servant. उसके बाद पता चला am I a gopa, gopi, peacock, cow, tree, all that later. पहले हम ये realize कर ले कि I am servant of Krishna. Yes, I think that itself is a very big thing. We'll be liberated with just that realization. We'll be liberated. जीवर स्वरूप होय कृष्ण नित्य दास. फिर उसके बाद देखते हैं. Yeah. अगर आपको पता चले तो मुझे भी बता देना. Someone else was raising hand. Suranpu, you wanted? Uh-huh.
You told if we engage our body, gross body and mind, gross body and speech for Krishna, then in due course of time our mind also will keep thinking about Krishna. So this way we can use Kaya as a mantra for the service of Krishna.
Yeah, yeah. Someone else had a question?
When we go through some difficult time, so theoretically we understand that we should not focus on that, like whatever situation we are going through, and we should focus more on our chanting, lecture hearing. But still that our keeps on going in that direction. So how to
See, at our level, no, chanting, reading, hearing, okay, some devotees might have taste, but then mostly it is seen that we might not have taste for doing that. Yes, there should be some active service because we have energy, no, now in the body. There should be some active service, running around service. So, in any problem, we should keep running around and keep doing services. Because sitting at one place and chanting, for that we need a very peaceful setup here. Very important. A peaceful setup here. If here some kachara is there and so much of disturbance and whirlwind is there here, in that we'll just keep flying in that whirlwind, all the time. So we cannot chant. We cannot read, we cannot hear. In that pages of Bhagavatam also we'll find the same problem, whatever we're going through. Because Bhagavatam is Kalpataru. You keep reading, thinking about that same thing you'll find. So we, as of now, those devotees who are blessed with the taste for holy name and Bhagavatam, so they can take shelter of it. But at this level, as sadhakas in the young age, we should have running around services. So much so that any critical situation also comes, we are like, have time nahi hai sabke liye. Let me just focus on this. And I've seen it's helped so much. It might be any crisis, and you just keep running around and keep doing service for Krishna, वो अपने आप वो solve हो जाता है अपने आप, without you focusing. Many times it will happen. Yes, it's our personal experience also. So now running around service should be there. Yes, and when we become old, then anyways we cannot run. We walk. And when we cannot walk, we can crawl. No crawling, then we'll sleep. At that time, then chanting, reading, hearing, we can take shelter of. Yeah? Active service is the answer. You said you had something.
Prabhuji, like every morning we pray to Tulsi Maharani that Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Abhilashi, but we don't say like Radha Krishna Seva Bhava Pavo or service attitude Pavo Abhilashi because we want service attitude and we can do any service.
Actually, that song is by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, no? So already he's on a different platform, he's praying for Prayojan. So हम लोग सिर्फ कोशिश कर रहे हो repeat करने का. Yes. So internally we can always pray. So when I am singing that, I have my personal prayers. So I offer those prayers and internally I offer some other prayers. That please engage me in the service of the Lord every moment. Yes. So we can always pray that. And also at the same time remember that how these personalities are great. They are praying for service of the Lord and we don't have service mode also. So whenever we understand, so this is the, at least, we understood the problem statement. I don't have service mode. We can offer a prayer for that. Yes. So we can offer. So ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि now, no, bhajan says something, so I cannot offer a prayer exclusively of my own. We can offer a prayer of our own. Yeah, nice. Okay, done? Thank you. So we'll end today. I hope this helped you. Few things. I hope everyone is preparing for Janmashtami. This is our Lord's birthday. So prepare your consciousness. Very, very important. And make sure that you have good service on that day. As I say, and never think that on that day I'll sit and chant full day. ऐसा नहीं होता है. If we finish our 16 rounds on Janmashtami, that's a very big thing. Yes. COVID के time पे we didn't have any option, so I remember chanting 64 rounds on that day. But otherwise, on the day of Janmashtami, so much service is there. And when we have this Nirjala fasting and all that, so when you have active services, then you'll not get to know also that you're doing Nirjala. Otherwise, always the mind will be there. So make sure that you get some active service on that day, fully tight. Anyways, we're doing Janmashtami at 12 different places. So somewhere you'll get service. So you can always check, and then you can be a part of some service. Second is we need to collect funds for Janmashtami. Yes. So you all can text your respective relatives, friends, or whatever, and please collect funds. Very, very important. And I was telling this one point in one previous class that these Christians have this thing that 10% of salary should go, in the service of the Lord. Yes. And what do Shastras say? 50%. वो तो मुश्किल लग रहा है devotees को. At least become a Christian first. I was hearing one devotee was telling this, in one class, and at least become a Christian. थोड़ा तो उस level पे तो आइए आप लोग. So this point I want all the IVF devotees to follow. At least 10% of your salary should go in donation. Yes, for the charitable work. Now this time, when we are organizing this Janmashtami and temple construction, I was thinking, why preachers have to think where will funds come from? ये preachers का job है क्या सोचना? अभी funds कहाँ से आएगा? क्या करे? कहाँ से लेके आए? This is not preacher's job. Preacher's job is to go around and preach. That is what preacher's job is. Yes. So why preachers have to think? The ones who are earning, yes, they should think about, okay, now I have to contribute and inspire others also. Whoever is connected, everyone should be inspired. See, this Christian missionaries and all, how are they working so nicely? Where are they getting funds? That is very clear for them. नहीं, जो भी salary आ रहा है उसमें 10% जाना ही है. That's what the thing. And today afternoon I read, Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada is writing that if every devotee understands 50% contribution is very, very important, then we can expand the mission very nicely. That's what he was saying. So 50% ठीक है. At least Christian वाला पहले follow करते हैं. उसके बाद it's up to the devotee actually. I never speak about donation, but then again and again I am finding Prabhupada speaking about this again and again. That funds have to be given by people who are earning, or else the thing remains impure. The Lakshmi remains, or the money remains impure. Again and again he's making this point. And also another point is when we do charity, so in this life we get some in return, and next life hopefully we shouldn't have one, but still, if at all by mistakenly if we come to this material world, then next life, it was described, it will multiply many, many times, the person will be filthy rich. Right? So this thought that when Krishna will give me more, then I'll give it to Krishna, that is not proper. That's not proper. Therefore, all the IVF devotees, I want one devotee to do this service. Who can ping everyone and every month and get the donation. So anyone who is interested can let me know. So it's a very responsible service, and we can do that. Yes. We have Anita Mataji here. She is one of my students. She is a PhD research scientist in our company. So recently, they have a land in Kodati, and they are building a place, and they have given 1.5 floor, almost to ISKCON. So I was really feeling that how people get such desires also. It's not easy, It's not easy. खुद के land पे, then they had no plan to build anything. That was like, I just said we want a kitchen, and then she said okay, we'll build. And now they're investing so much of Lakshmi there, so much of Lakshmi. So since you're sitting, I thought I should tell. So let's pray, for such great devotees, helping in various ways by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you all very much. Shri Chaitanya Chaitamrit ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.